Hello, first grade. I hope that you are excited to do a very special winter project this week. So in order to do this project, you'll need a piece of white paper. We'll be adding watercolor on here next week. So if you have something a little bit heavier, that would be awesome. You will need this circle stencil. I did post a copy of this on Google Classroom. And then you'll also need a pencil and a white crayon. So the first thing that we're going to do is take our pencil and the stencil, and we are going to trace this circle onto the piece of paper a couple times. Now, you can have it completely on the paper, or you can also have it running off of the paper. Either of those options are fine. All right, so I'm going to trace mine on here a bunch of times. I wouldn't really overlap your circles like this. That'll probably be confusing once we get to the rest of the project. You want there to be a little bit of space in between each of your circles. Okay, so we are done with the pencil and the stencil. All right, so what we are going to do inside each of the circles is actually draw a snowflake. Now, before we do that part, I'm going to grab an extra piece of paper and a Sharpie so that we can see everything super easily. Now, the really cool thing about snowflakes is that they all look different. No two snowflakes look exactly the same. So you can be very creative with the different snowflakes that you're drawing. You can have something that's very simple, like starting with a cross and then putting some other lines through it, or you can use that very same shape and add some other fun decorations to it. There are lots of different options, but obviously feel free to experiment. Maybe also you want to do, instead of the little lines, maybe you want to have circles on the ends. But maybe you also want to add the lines too. You can add as many details as you want to, or you can keep it simple. All right, so I'm gonna move that off to the side again. And then you just need your paper and your white crayon. Now, we're going to have a little bit of magic with this project next week when we use watercolor, but in order to do that, it's going to look like we're not drawing too much with our white crayon. So inside each of the circles, you want to draw a snowflake with your white crayon. Now, I know what you're thinking, Mrs. Stuber, I can't see my snowflake. And you know what? I totally understand that. You can probably see it just a little bit. You can also run your fingers over it and you can feel the wax from the crayon. But in each of your circles, you want to draw a snowflake, and you can draw them similar or you can draw them different. So go ahead and make sure that each of your circles is filled with a snowflake for this week. One last thing, my friends, you want to make sure, in order for the magic to happen correctly next week, you want to make sure that you press relatively hard with your crayon, but maybe not as hard as Mrs. Stuber, who actually broke her crayon while she was drawing, but that's okay. Now I have two.